The other thing I was going to mention is I was listening to the Q&A that you had done on your quarterly call, which I know you broadcast on X, and you talked about prediction markets being another opportunity. We saw Robinhood ended up removing contracts for the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw that ahead of the big game. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious how you're thinking about prediction markets and just how much scrutiny that area or that product may turn out to have in this environment.
Yeah, well, I am excited about prediction markets, and I think the new CFTC chair, Brian Quintenz, is certainly very thoughtful on this topic, and he's going to have to figure out how to create a trusted environment where these things can be built in the United States so Americans can use them, but also make sure that consumers are protected. So as an example, you'd want to make sure that you don't have any sort of prediction market where someone might be incentivized to harm another person, right? Just sort of basic rules like that. But overall, I think that people are going to use prediction markets to figure out what's actually happening in the world. I actually think of it's less of a trading product and it's more of like an alternative to the New York Times or something. If I can say that on your program, I hope, I know you work with both companies, but I think people are trying to figure out what's happening in the world. They're increasingly worried about misinformation, and they want a source of truth. And prediction markets are emerging as an important source of truth where people have real skin in the game. And that's an exciting development where crypto can help.
Where do you land these days on meme coins? I don't know if you saw, by the way, there happened to be for a hot minute a coin with my name attached to it. I was not involved in it. It just came out of nowhere. And I watched. It was actually sort of fascinating to watch the development of what was happening and to see people on X and on some of these Telegram accounts and other things really trying to push it up, and then, of course, questioning whether, when they were going to sell and what they were going to do. And I will admit, I found it fascinating, but I was also sort of uneasy about it. It still exists to this day. What do you think about the phenomenon?
Yeah, well, meme coins in the broadest sense, I think we should find a way for artists to get paid. Anybody should be able to put artwork, they should be able to get paid for it. And I do think, meme coins are a canary in the coal mine that more and more of the world is going to get tokenized and put on chain. Every asset class, every vote, every identity, every song, every Instagram post, whatever in the future, I think more and more of these things are going to be tokenized. Now, we also need to make sure people are following the law and not doing pump and dump schemes or insider trading. And there probably has been a little bit of that in the meme coin space, which is not helping anybody. And so in every crypto cycle, there seems to be people who rush in and they forget these lessons of the past. But insider trading should obviously be prosecuted, and people should avoid doing that unless they want to go to prison.
Do you think that the same insider trading laws that exist today for stocks, for example, should apply to the crypto world?
It's an interesting question, actually. I think Brian Quintenz and others are thinking about this through the prediction market lens. I mean, in the broadest sense, yes. I think that most of the same rules should apply. It should be a level playing field around insider trading. There's an interesting question for prediction markets of do you want to let insiders trade? In the commodities world, it's sometimes a different question than in the securities world, right? Like if something is truly decentralized and anybody could have information on it, it may be a different lens, but I'll leave that to the regulators to think about. I haven't formed my opinion on that fully yet.
Right. I'm fascinated by all of it because I'm watching, for example, I don't know if you watched the whole Argentina President Milei, apparently post about Libra, and then he took down the post, and there's all sorts of controversy about whether he was pumping this up. I mean, that's the thing that just seems so different about this world than maybe the stock market's more mature today than what we've seen before.
Yeah, well, I do think we're in early stages of this industry. So it's the Wild West a little bit, like with meme coins right now. And there's good that comes with that, which is a lot of innovations happening. There's some bad happening as well, where from what I understand, it sounds like President Milei accidentally shared that information without understanding exactly what he was sharing, if you believe his comments. So yeah, my hope is that this gets cleaned up and, people continue to think long term about how we're going to create real value for the billions of people in the world who need an updated financial system.